OnlyPipeline in the building.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of OnlyPipeline in the building. I'm your host, your co-host, Yuval, and both Sean and myself, we are best friends, and we're also coming from marketing, myself, and sales, Sean. So we're here for another week to debate some of the most pressing issues of the day, and we're going to kick us off for another week when we're going to discuss two very important topics. One is, where should BDR sit? Is it in sales or is it in marketing? And Sean, you had another topic about something a bit more technical, right?
Yeah. So hello, everybody out there again. Ultimately, the second topic that we wanted to talk about is that I'm essentially in the midst, at my current company, we're in a unique situation. We've got two CRMs. We've got both Salesforce and HubSpot. One's used kind of by the broader sales organization, finance, what have you. That's Salesforce. The other one is more broadly used by the marketing team, which is HubSpot. And I'm really trying to decide what is the better CRM, maybe not technically, but for our purposes. What is a better CRM for what we're trying to accomplish? And so I'm going to try to elucidate those points throughout this podcast. And then, of course, Yuval, as always, we will end our podcast with an unpopular opinion.
Unpopular?
Popular? Yeah, I don't know. Popular opinion. I think when it comes to these things, we really are trying to give some unpopular opinions, but at the same time, I think it's pretty just sound advice. So we'll get there when we get there. And so to start us off today, Yuval, actually from our last episode, we talked about trends that were upcoming into 2026. And as part of that conversation, we talked about we touched on where BDRs should sit. And maybe I'll just give a little bit of background for those that may not be familiar. But in my experience, there are two kind of frontline sales roles. They're often combined into one. The nomenclature for that is typically either a sales development representative or a business development representative, SDR or BDR. I'm going to apologize in advance if we use those interchangeably. But I think at the end of the day, we'll do our best to kind of delineate the two things, right, Yuval? Because I think, not to say that it changes where they sit, but their roles and responsibilities and their understanding of their need to understand what's coming from marketing versus sales, I think changes a little bit for each role. And ultimately, the history here is I've seen it myself, right, where there's report into marketing. And when we say sit, we mean reporting, right? Reporting into a marketing manager versus reporting into a sales manager. So I'm curious, Yuval, why don't you make the case? Maybe give us a little bit more deep information on what you spoke about last week and make the case for why BDRs and SDRs should sit in marketing.
Yeah, I'll start with a simple positioning for why I think marketing and BDR should sit under the same team. They have the same targets, meaning I'm in marketing, I have a pipeline target, which is the exact same target that BDR has, meaning we both need to produce the same outcome or the same output for the sales team. We need to deliver meetings.
And what
we need to
what are those targets?
Yeah. So we need to deliver meetings. We need to deliver pipeline, right? This meeting should translate into an actual opportunity to close the deal. And that means we have the same targets. I guess we should sit under the same team.
Okay.
Argue
is that your only argument, or is that's the first tenet of your argument?
Let's say it's the first 10.
That's the first tenet. Okay. So let me tee you up for a second tenet of an argument for BDRs in marketing. What I've seen a lot, right, is that because SDRs, we'll call them inbound sales development representatives, right, are dealing with people directly from a marketing online marketplace, right, marketing owned online marketplace, as well as from an outbound perspective with BDRs, there is a need for each of these roles to be up to date and highly collaborative with the marketing team on content, product releases, thought leadership, webinars, etc. Right? So I would assume, Yuval, one of your arguments would also be to bring these roles very close to marketing so they can be very in touch with what you're releasing to the public. Would I be correct in saying that?
Yeah, 100%. But let's tackle one by one, right? Because I know you have an opinion about, the shared goals, right? They have a shared goals. So
Yeah. So, I
why shouldn't
mean,
they sit together?
I think that I agree in the sense that you have where the SDR and the BDR role would have the same goals as marketing. To your point, right? You mentioned pipeline, which is pipeline dollars, right? Generated pipeline revenue, right? And so for those that are unaware, right, what we try to do is you try to build enough pipeline that's at least 3x the sales close one target, right? Which in actual fact is a sales target, right? So really a pipeline generation target is just an extension of what the sales team is looking to close at the end of the day. But like, I think you would be surprised, Yuval, maybe you wouldn't, but I think there's a lot of organizations out there where marketing doesn't necessarily have a target that's aligned with the sales team, right? That marketing activities directly or indirectly create pipeline revenue and meetings and what have you, but the marketing team isn't necessarily held monthly or quarterly to achieving those. They just say, hey, we're just going to create as much content as possible. You
I'm
know?
actually surprised. I'm actually surprised. Like, if now, end of 2025, there is a marketing team that is not being measured by either revenue or pipeline generated, then I'm super confused. Like, what age do you guys live in? And how do I get your job? It sounds really, really nice. You know,
it's
let's
it's true.
just produce webinars and content and have no say about, let's own the output and not the outcome. That's so nice.
No, I totally agree, dude. I mean, it exists. So, anyways, point being is that I 100% agree that targets should be aligned between the sales team and the marketing team. Because what are you doing otherwise? What go to market motion that you have, do you have if you are not aligning your pipeline generation, meetings generation from the marketing team down? Totally agree.
Wait,
But that's just good business practices. I don't think that's an argument for BDR sitting in marketing.
yeah. So why they shouldn't sit with marketing?
Why they shouldn't sit with marketing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, like as I've said, I think your argument here is that that's just good business practices. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's an argument for why BDRs should sit in marketing, right? Like just because the renewal or retention team has a target or like a referral target or something that feeds through marketing, because we've had marketing managers that are focused towards the retention team. It doesn't necessarily mean the retention team sits with the marketing persona, for example, right?
Okay. So you're saying that even if the pipeline or the target is being placed upon two different teams, doesn't mean they're on the same team. Same
It's just
thing
the
that the
concept
company
of an
has.
OKR,
Yeah.
or like a good go-to-market motion, right? I think that's good business practices, but not necessarily an argument for BDR to sit on.
Yeah. So what would you say is the one thing or a couple of questions you ask yourself? All right, we have BDRs or SDRs in this organization, and where should they sit? Like they could sit with sales, and that means that they're going to be really close with, the account the sales are targeting, with the whole qualification and pipeline acceleration muscles, versus sitting with the marketing and really focus on generating and capturing demand.
So let's take a step back. What's the type of person that you hire into this role, right? Typically, this is a younger profile. It doesn't always have to be, but someone that is getting a start in their career. And as an SDR, BDR, and typically the career path is you handle inbound leads, then you go outbound, then you become an account executive. So I'm curious, is there a path? Like if I were to put an SDR, BDR on the marketing team, is there a path for them to develop their careers in marketing when typically they become salespeople?
I think this brings us to a different conversation of what's the career path for an SDR BDR looks like, right? Like I think it's enough for a whole episode just to discuss like what are the routes people are
I
taking.
mean,
But
it's limitless. It depends on, what type of exposure you actually get. But that being said, like for the most part, you hire a profile that is going to become a salesperson at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Yuval, do you think, so let's say that you built out a team of 10 SDRs and BDRs underneath you, knowing that, well, Okay. Let's say in this scenario, you're hiring SDRs and BDRs in the typical scenario, right? They're going to become salespeople one day, hopefully, right? How are you going to get them as a manager to become a salesperson? Do you feel equipped as a manager or director of marketing to coach on sales competencies?
Probably not.
I think we
I'm a
saw
good
this.
I'm a good salesperson. I'm a good salesperson, but it's more like natural thing. Like it's I'm a street sales smart and not a book sales smart. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, you went to the school of hard knocks, no higher education on your side, barely
Exactly.
passed high school. I thought that was the case for you. We've seen this happen. I'm not sure if you were at say during this time, but like for a certain amount of time, our outbound BDRs went and sat in marketing, right? The inbound SDRs stayed in sales, and the BDRs went to marketing. And the number one thing that I would hear back from these guys is like, this person doesn't know sales techniques. This person can't coach me and can't develop me towards doing the thing that I want to be doing, which is why I joined this company in the first place. And there's a lot to be said additionally about having done the role that you manage, right? And listen, we've all done roles, or hopefully, like, I think everyone should have the opportunity to do a role that you haven't done before, you don't necessarily have experience for. But there's something to be said where you can look at your manager being like, that person has been in the trenches. That person has made a billion, cold calls over time. And so I trust their expertise. That's not to say that this marketing manager couldn't have experience as a salesperson. Totally fair. It could definitely happen and I support it. But there is a respect that needs to be generated. There's a respect that needs to be generated and shown between the manager and the salesperson.
I find both of those claims about BDR progress and management skills really hard to tackle, right? But we know that many BDR teams, and I'll try to conclude this with this last question of many BDR teams, SDR teams do sit under marketing. Do you feel like there's any situation that could fit that the BDRs or SDRs will sit under the marketing lead?
Do I think that there are any situations where they should? I think that the only time BDRs or SDRs sit in marketing is either A, in small organizations, B, when the company wants to try, when something's not working, right? And that's happened to me before, and the company wants to try something new and get new blood in there and see if bringing it closer to marketing helps. Because of course, like one thing that I see a lot is like marketing generates a lot of content, and it becomes on me in my role to filter that content, use it, apply it, whatever. Right. If the BDRs sit in marketing, that filter is removed, right? Like there's no extra step there in terms of getting our word, the company's word out to the market properly, right? But outside of that, I don't see a reason for that. I think there are way too many benefits to sit in sales for an SDR, BDR versus marketing.
You heard it first here, guys. The sales development organization should sit under sales. This is why it starts with sales. Yeah, but sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, let me add one more thing. The last thing is like, who knows what's going to happen in the future, Yuval? You are way ahead of me in terms of developing agentic AI to help you do your job today. And as we talked about, the SDR, BDR role, the human part, may eventually recede. And it may just be LLMs talking to each other and sending messages. And at which point, that's probably smarter for it to send into marketing. But however long there's a human component to it, those people want to develop and become salespeople, from what I've seen.
Yeah, I will save this as because it's really interesting to me, because I see also other routes. I'll save it to a different conversation for a BDR to develop in an organization that is not necessarily sales. So I'd love to bring it up in a future episode. And I also love to hear, like, if someone's listening to this and thinking SDRs should definitely sit in marketing, then I'd love to hear the argument for that. If we haven't made it here.
There's a whole other conversation about pods. Remember when pods was really big? It probably still is big. I don't know.
It's
but
still big.
Definitely. Yeah, it's still big.
I'm still building pods, man.
you and I even did our engagement SDRs, our nurture SDRs, our enterprise BDRs. We had a whole different creative structure, right? That I think worked. I don't think it worked tangibly, like hugely different than our old system, but I think it did work over time. It just became more complicated to manage.
Yeah, sometimes we can actually speak about this project. It was quite interesting. Um, yeah, it really is like part of a bigger conversation about the different go-to-market roles that are changing right now and what should be our approach to that. But I think we are aligned on the fact that there needs to be like a shared goal, but also a very
Always.
sense of ownership for the BDRs in terms of sales and being a part of the sales organization.
Yeah,
Speaking,
I think it merits further conversation. But yeah, go on.
I'm saying, speaking about sales, Salesforce has sales in it,
Yeah, I think the second
right?
topic we wanted to talk about today, Yuval, was Salesforce versus HubSpot. Listen, for anyone that's listening now, if you think that this is going to be boring, you're probably
It will.
right. It will be.
It will be.
But I bring this up because this is something that I'm in the middle of right now. As I said at the start, my company's using both Salesforce and HubSpot. We have an opportunity to potentially just go down to one moving into next year. And I actually had this conversation with my boss basically at the start of this year, and I said, well, no, like Salesforce is like, he asked, should we just switch to HubSpot because the entire marketing team is working in HubSpot. And to give you some context, in HubSpot, like you can see all of the interaction from like marketing output within the context in HubSpot. You can get a lot more insight as it pertains to number of form requests over certain periods of time. We haven't set it up yet, but there's buyer personas, intent, which I could do a whole episode on intent as well as kind of many other things. And so a year ago, I said, no, I want to stay in Salesforce. It's what I know. I can report in Salesforce. I can build process. I've been using it my entire career, etc. And so over time this year, I've used more HubSpot. And one of the things that we're missing from kind of sending from HubSpot into Salesforce was like our web engagements, like our soft leads at CISA, right? And so I was missing that this year because that wasn't getting sent over to Salesforce. And so this is a long-winded way of trying to get your opinion, Yuval, of what you think, because I'm sure you've used HubSpot a lot more extensively than I have. So I'm eager to hear what you have to say about this.
It's a loaded question. I think it's a very use case based, meaning when you have a large sales organization, you usually go with Salesforce just because of two things. One, it's adjustable and you can bend it the way you think is fit for your go-to-market, right? To have the fields you need, to have the workflows you need, both with finance and marketing and HubSpot, right? There's all the connectivity in the world you can think about, right? And the second thing is that sales teams just are used to working with Salesforce, right? And this is an important topic because when you are training a new team member or you're just adjusting anything about your sales flow, then you kind of need to think about how to manage this change. So I think these are two notes I can think about that are going to say Salesforce is your go-to thing. I think for smaller organizations though, HubSpot, it's just offering everything in one package. And it's much easier for marketing team and sales team to work together on HubSpot, talking about the UX and UI and have everything in one place. It's not perfect. It's nowhere near perfect. And there are some complications. And at the end, you'll need someone who's just doing HubSpot stuff and building HubSpot automations, boards, follow-up cadences, all of that. But you have everything in HubSpot. So if you have like a smaller sales organization, you consider just, I would definitely consider that just for the line item, meaning paying for both HubSpot and Salesforce is expensive.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Salesforce, I think, is about a $50,000 expense for us. And I think I'm very much aligned with you. We've got a small sales team here. Even last year when my boss put it to me about should we move to HubSpot, and I dug my heels in with Salesforce, is because like I'm very much a process oriented guy. I want to connect everything into Salesforce. I know it, right? I can build my reports and my dashboards and I can build process because it's all familiar territory for me. And so, he's put it to me again at the end of the year. And I'm just like, sure, I'm willing to try something different. I think it's very true that we shouldn't be paying for two. And to your point, yeah, you get a lot more information related to the contact records. You get a lot more as a package as opposed to simply a CRM system, right? And so over time, I'm starting to learn this and I'm really starting to operate or try to operate a lot more in HubSpot. I have to say, I've got a lot of work in front of me in the new year, trying to port things over from Salesforce into the HubSpot if that's the decision that we go or the way that we go. But yeah, anything else to add on that, Yuval?
Just one last question is if scalability is any concern, meaning if you're going to do great, the sales team is going to grow, then suddenly will it become an issue that you don't have Salesforce?
I mean, scalability should always be a concern, right? Like I always try to future orient what I do to work in the future. But I've been reminded again and again where it's like, listen, like we're a small organization. So like just do the nitty gritty. We don't need 6 processes. We need meetings, you know? And so for me, it's just, trying to cut through a lot of that noise and trying to use HubSpot to pinpoint where we should focus.
Yeah, sounds like a smart decision.
Yeah, I guess. Exciting times. And actually, that leads us into our unpopular opinion for the week, Yuval. And the reason that I say that is because now I am a CRM generalist, right? I'm trying to learn multiple CRMs in order to benefit my career. And so what is our unpopular opinion for this week, Yuval?
The unpopular opinion by Yuval for this week will be that generalists have become the most attractive persona in any team. Unlike before, and I'll explain a little bit before, let's say 3-4 years back, I was looking for people who know really good how to do one or two things, meaning, do you know how to manage paid search campaigns, right? And you're also really good in analytics and online funnel optimization. Then I'm like, all right, like you've got a job with me, right? I can hire you, I can train you, I can provide you the insights from other places to help you do your job in a really good way. But now I feel like, and I see it for the marketing team, and is every person in the team, I'm a part of a 60 people team, right? But every person in the team needs to be a good marketer more than anything. And then to pour into that some of his professional experience and professional background. But we have to be good in marketing in general. We have to understand the audience. We have to understand the market. We have to be really good in understanding our go-to-market and how we are planning to win over the market share. Otherwise, like people are doing just one thing and it doesn't make sense with the entire strategy. So everyone needs to be really good in marketing. They need to be generally good in marketing. How do you see that from a sales perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, just generally first, I feel like we definitely went through an era, and someone will fact check me on this, but like from like 2005 to 2020 or something, I feel like it was very much an era of specificity and focus and niche ownership and roles. And I almost think, I just have this thought, but I almost think it's as a result of like all these overblown tech valuations, right? That happened before the pandemic hit. And then pandemic hit and ultimately all these belts are tightened. And it's like, well, we can't just have a specific niche role here. I need someone that can do 2 or 3 of these roles themselves, right? I feel like you see it. I saw it a lot. Like I worked in executive recruitment to start my career. So you saw that a lot in HR, right? There was HR for like payroll, HR for benefits, HR for recruitment, what have you. And while there still exists some specialist roles today, I think a lot more people have gone towards generalist type roles where they can wear many hats and do many things. And within that, you can get a certification, right? To say, yeah, I can do this, right? To make you attractive. From a sales perspective, one more time.
No, say from a sales perspective.
Yeah, and from a sales perspective, I've only worked in one organization that had different product lines, right? And this was at Top Hat. And there was like, you could be an engagement account executive or you could be content account executive, or you could be a hybrid account executive, right? So one sold engagement, one sold content, one sold both. I went into the hybrid role. So I was selling both, which also meant I had the highest quota of any of the reps, which actually sucked. But I don't know. I feel like in sales, the more knowledge you have about the product, the more knowledge you have about your persona's pain can only serve to benefit you so that you can sell across product lines. But again, I don't work at Google. I don't work at Microsoft. I don't know what these super technical sales look like. So I'm not saying that those need to go away, but I definitely feel, especially, sort of one last point, especially as more and more of these tech platforms that we use on the day to day are consolidating their services, right? We talked about Gong having sequencing, Salesforce having sequencing, all this stuff where it's just like it's all contained within one platform. And you need to be able to sell it all because it is a one platform, right? You're not going to send if I'm a Gong rep and someone wants the conversation intelligence and I'm selling that to them, I'm not going to send them to another rep to talk about sequencing, right? So you have to be a master of many hats and why each of the features of your platform actually need to tie to the customer's pain.
Yeah. So we agree, which makes it, I guess it's a popular opinion this week, right?
We keep framing these unpopular opinions as unpopular, but I mean, really, we just want people to like us. So hopefully they agree with us.
Yeah. It's, I guess some people, like if you're a specialist in like one area and you like, I'm only doing, I don't know what, paid search and I'm good at it. By the way, I'm not saying this profession is gone. I'm just saying within like the marketing team, it's not relevant anymore. I met one last thing, like I met a couple of people who doing specifically paid search and they make more money than you and me combined in a month, what we make combined in a year, right? Like this is how much they make. They make sheet loads of money.
I want to do that.
Oh, you want to do that?
Yeah, I want to do that. How do I get that job?
Oh, I forgot that when you say to salesperson something about someone making a lot of money, he's immediately going to say, oh, I want that, right?
Put a quarter in my back and I'll talk to you all day.
All right, man. It's been a good conversation today. And I think we tackled some important points and some nice points. I think for next episode, we have a lot of open topics about, where BDR's role is going and how people develop from BDR to their next position. And also about the technical changes we need to do for next year. So I'm looking forward for that. And we probably going to release this episode. We got 1 or 2 more episodes before end of year. So this is exciting that we also have this to kick off for 2026.
Yeah, man. It's very, very exciting. It's been a blast doing this with you so far. You look very intelligent in these glasses today, I have to say.
Oh, thank you. You waited till the end of the episode to say,
I really like them.
Thank you.
When are you going to grow up and get laser eye surgery though? Like a real man.
Oh yeah. I'm terrified of this. Don't get me started. Yeah, we can, if someone wants an episode just about laser surgery, then just listen to a different podcast, I guess, right?
We'll start a GoFundMe for your laser surgery. All right, man. Yeah. I mean, listen, I hope this is valuable to people. I'm having a lot of fun while doing it. I hope you are too. And even if people aren't enjoying it, we're going to keep doing it. So help us understand if it's hitting for you or not. But this was another great week, Yuval. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.